The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to this edition of the Hotline Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Today is 14th of October. The year is 2024. Last week, Uganda was celebrating its independence. Yes, every 9th of October, this country remembers the time that we actually got independence. That was the 9th of October, 1962. Uganda was able to gain her independence from the colonialists. From that time, we have been celebrating this day in commemoration of a free and liberal country. The question is, are we actually liberal and free in nature? Is this independence worth celebrating? What can we point out and say this is a win after these 60 and more years? This is a win for Uganda. After we got independence, this has changed. Many people are still talking about the political transition. There is also a bit of economic empowerment. There are lots of issues that are affecting Ugandans. The president hinted on the unemployment rate, and he says some of you have actually not embraced these particular wealth generation programs, and at the end of the day, you continue to cry unemployment and poverty. This could be your fault, you being broke at such a time. These are some of the few sentiments that many Ugandans have been pointing out, saying that maybe it's time we look and do some introspection into ourselves, and maybe we see we are part of the reasons why we believe we are independent or we're actually not independent. That and much more is what we're going to be talking about this evening. But before we even delve into that conversation, on the global scene, a lot of things are happening. Just near us here in Kenya, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, has actually already been impeached by the parliament of that particular area. Recently, he has gone to court to try to refuse this particular decision that has been made by the parliament. But as we speak, the parliament has actually impeached him. Impeaching means he is no longer going to be the deputy president of that particular republic. When we go straight forth to the Middle East, the war there is taking a twist Remember, on 7th October last year, we had a mass death of many Israelis, courtesy of some people who, some villains, they call them villains, the people in Gaza, the fighters in Gaza. From that time, we've seen Israel retaliate. We have seen a lot of invasion in the Gaza Strip. Now, the new difference in this particular war is that now Israel has put on ground soldiers to invade Lebanon. And of course, remember, the Lebanon is the base of the Hezbollah fighters who have been fighting Israel for a while. So Israel is now fighting in Lebanon. They are still fighting in Gaza. And remember, we are hearing Iran has already warned, and some missiles have been actually been thrown in Israel. So we are looking at an axis of fighting. Can Israel actually thrive in such a time? And what does it mean right now when the war is starting to become a full-scale war that is affecting the Middle East? How are we affected down here in Uganda? And of course, is there a reason to worry? I already have a diplomat who is best in these issues, Mr. Charles Kazooba. He will be painting a picture for us in that particular regard. But in case you have any question, there's a question that was sent by a gentleman called Lutaya Philip. Yes, Lutaya Philip, you sent a question and you wanted us to ask these particular individuals. I'll be asking them that question in line with the catastrophe, the conflict that is between Israel and other Middle East powers. So in case you have any other question, feel free to send me that question through our social media platforms at Digitalk TV, at The Alternative Uganda. We are on Facebook, but we're also streaming live on YouTube. So in case your Facebook is buffering, you can alternatively use our YouTube platform. Just send in a comment, a question, and I'll be able to read it for you as we continue the program. Unfortunately, we do not have the Secretary General for the NEED political party, that is Asman Odaka. Unfortunately, he's not able to come here and have a conversation with us. But the good thing is we already have Mr. Charles Kazooba, who is the Executive Director for the Center for African Affairs and Diplomatic Studies, but also a gentleman from the National Resistance Movement. He is the Director for the External Affairs in NRM. His name is retired Major Pollar, Awich. They're going to be joining us for this conversation. So, as I told you, our social media platforms at Digitalk TV, at The Alternative Uganda. Also on X or Twitter, we are at The Alternative UGA. You can drop those comments and I'll be able to read your messages subsequently as we continue with this particular program. I'm going to start with you, Charles. You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Karuhanga and Digitalk TV for giving us once again this opportunity to converse on national issues with our viewers and Ugandans out there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I was on the way coming. I came across a disturbing story on Uganda Revenue Authority. It seems there's a lot of dirt in there. I also didn't know that there was a Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, which is different from the one of Karemera. You know, Karemera, the convict.
Yes,
the ex-convict
David
was appointed
recently
and is
to head
related to something.
the tax investors protection unit.
There is a lot of that in revenue. This man, the head of the Commissioner General of Revenue Authority, he is a clean guy. His record is going to be so tainted that by the time he gets out of that place, he will not have breathing space.
Is there evidence that has been attached to those allegations that they are making?
Yes, because apparently even information has gone to the president and is aware. So investigations are being done. I saw the Commissioner General promising that they'll do a lot of cleaning up in the department, but I think he better gets out of that place as early as possible before scandals there bury him. Because it is too much. There's a scandal of the one of MTN. Apparently, there was an inflated figure. Revenue people claiming that MTN had arrears of about 1.5 trillion
In taxes.
in taxes, which they had not paid. Then they went back door and negotiated, brought the figure to 260, and MTN
Billion
now
then?
260 billion. Now, it is very, very dirty. Really, it's. I think the mafia has infiltrated the Revenue Authority, and from what an official in MTN was claiming, that they are being blackmailed. It is not true that they have those arrears. So let's hope that not Kalemera, somebody else can do a better work.
But it's Kalemera's job to do that, sir.
No, apparently that his outfit has not even started. It even lacks capacity to do some work. But apparently there is another Directorate of Revenue Intelligence which has been doing some work for some time. So maybe another agency can take charge and they clean up that place. Because if the country is being told that they are not getting enough revenue, and yet there is a lot of money being stolen by the collector, then there is a problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I remember there is a gentleman, I'm not going to mention his name because there was never evidence that was produced, but he used to work in that URA. And it is said that in a day he would make over 1.5 billion. And that gentleman, as we speak, is in Parliament.
Yes.
Yes, if you know that gentleman,
I know.
he was using his office to but because I don't have evidence, I won't mention his name.
You are right.
But these things, we've had them happening in that particular place. But allow me welcome Honorable Pollar, Awich, retired major. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Are you okay?
And as usual, I'm okay. As usual, happy to share my views with the citizens who are both in Uganda and outside, and on topics what that concerns Uganda and global in nature. Last week we had was quite eventful for our independence and many other activities. So I'm happy to be here.
Okay. You have anything to say on his introductory remarks? If we have such a scenario in our URA, how safe are we, sir?
Well, of course, if it is true, if what is saying that we can lose in trillions in just one company alone, MTN, that is absurd. That would be bad if it is true, but we are not sure if it is true or not. Because if it is in MTN alone, then how do we doubt that it could be in other big companies as well?
Exactly. And those allegations have been there.
3-4 companies like that, you have killed the country.
Wow. Sad. I want to start with you, Charles, and I want us to start from the issue of what is happening in Israel.
Yes.
Then we shall also talk about Kenya, because I want us to just get a global perspective on these issues as we metamorphose to talk about independence. I'm bringing you individuals, putting you on the spot on these issues because you are excellent in diplomacy, I can say. You've studied it. He has practiced diplomacy for a long time throughout his career. I want to start with you. What does this change in twist for the Israel, Hamas, Israel, Hezbollah, and that particular axis? If this war is changing like this, what does it mean for the face of the conflict between Israel and its neighbors?
First of all, you need to understand Israel's foreign policy. You also need to understand the beliefs of the man in charge, that is Netanyahu, because they are too separate. Unlike other countries where a head of government dominates the state, in Israel it's different. They kind of share power because of their system of coalition. You have about 5 parties coming together to make a government, and you have opposition. It's a very complicated system of theirs. So there is no figure that dominates the state. However, what is happening is that Netanyahu, the prime minister, is like Museveni. He's like our president here.
How?
His focus is to survive today. He looks at surviving, a government to survive, him surviving. He does not take risky decisions, for instance, to put a country on the right path. Rather, he will take advantage of circumstances so that he's in power. He stays in power.
Relevant.
So what happened is that Netanyahu has decided to give what the right wingers and far right, the hardliners, that are those radicals within the Israel state who believe in pounding Palestine until it is neutralized. They don't believe in peace talks. They don't believe in
Two-state system and things like that.
reconciliation. They don't. In fact, they don't even want to hear about it. So Netanyahu has agreed with that group within the Israel state. And therefore, all the interests that he is serving are for that group that wants Palestine to be obliterated, neutralized, and erased. Now, there are other moderates who say, let us have Palestine as also a separate state, but their voice is not being heard. Now, the tricky situation is the Jews in the US are getting tired of that group of radicals. And remember, it is the Jews in the US that always lobby the US government to support, to give arms to Israel and financial aid. Now, we are most likely going to see a situation where this war will bury Netanyahu and his group. But equally, the Hamas group, these armed groups, the so-called terrorists, the Hezbollah, the proxies of Iran, they're also not going to survive. Because the Arabs, the Muslims, are also getting fed up of them because of the costs of war. First of all, they are so corrupt. They have been stealing all the monies that come in for the people of Palestine. But apart from that, the people who have died in this war, we are talking of over, I think, 41,000
yes,
people.
More than 40,000 people.
Yes, the number is big. So the Israel image in the face of the world has been damaged. When you look at the exchanges between Israel and the United Nations, and it has been going on for quite some years, but now it is becoming worse. It is as if Israel has become the bad boy in the international system. And yet we are in a globalized world where there is a free flow of information, communication. People watch and hear and see what is going on. And they are getting a negative picture about Israel. So for Israel now to get to a better stage, this group of radicals has to be subdued. But that cannot happen with Biden. or Kamala Harris. However, when you get Trump in the power, Trump and Netanyahu agree on certain things. In fact, it is unlikely that Trump will subdue these people, the radicals within the Israeli state, to stop pounding Palestine. Actually, the war could even get to facing Iran. And that is where the Middle East will start burning. So let's put our fingers together and keep praying.
Okay.
But we need now somebody that can talk sense to the radicals in Israel, that enough is enough.
Will they listen? Joe Biden has tried to speak.
And the problem is that they don't believe in civilian foreign policy. Their foreign policy is created on military personnel. They believe in hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting. That's what Netanyahu wants. But you never know, because I think by 2019, he was 2020. He was indicted on corruption charges. Actually, he was supposed to go to prison, but now this has disrupted. But you never know. However, the public, the Israelis themselves are getting tired of the group. So the pressure is mounting. The pressure is growing. Please, yes, we wanted some revenge because of what Hamas had done to us. However, this is not what we want. Our country, as a democracy, liberal democracy, the picture is very bad in the face of the world. So we are hoping that the pressure can come from within Israel itself, first of all, especially amongst the moderates, and push the radicals off the stage so that a more sane leader can take charge of Israel.
Okay.
But with the U.S., I don't see somebody who will help. Actually, Trump will worsen the things. But then Kamala Harris, I don't see her having the muscle to contain the group of the Netanyahu. It is not possible.
But what you agree is that if both of them come to power, they will all still support Israel at the end of the day.
Because, like I've told you, the Jews, the lobby group that lobbies for Israel in the US, it's getting tired of these radicals. Yes, they're also getting tired of them, the way they are behaving.
Okay.
So, but even if it happens, does Kamala Harris have the boldness to handle that group? Because you see, Israel's foreign policy is based on 3 issues, on 3 grounds. First of all, they look at themselves as an isolated state. Therefore, they do not care what others say. They don't. Even the US at times, they have so major disagreements.
Yes.
2, they believe in expansionist, the expansionism, that they should keep expanding to reduce the threat against their state. That is why you hear they keep taking over territory by territory.
Yes.
Territory by territory. So with time, you never know what will happen, but maybe.
Okay. That gentleman is Charles Kazooba. Why he knows these things is Executive Director for Center for African Affairs and Diplomatic Studies. So his area of diplomacy is here. Let me come to you, sir. My question is, do you think Israel has the capacity to take on all those countries and actually take them down, sir?
Well, your question is simple. Does Israel have the capacity? Yes or no?
And elaborate, sir.
Well, you see, the Israelis question is a question where so many people don't understand, and it is unfortunate. For example, the entire Christian group in Africa think that Israel is their friend,
Yes.
which is not the case at all. The Israel are not Christians. They are not.
They were Judeans.
They don't even know this thing you talk about Christianity. But now you can see the first misinformation. The entire Christians thinking, oh,
The God of
Israel,
Israel.
the God of Israel. But they are not Christians like you.
They are Zionists.
So that is already, but now, talk about Zionism. And maybe I talk about Zionism to make people understand, my viewers. I like moving along with viewers because part of these sessions that we have can help educate people.
Exactly.
What is Zionism? Zionism comes from the word Zion, which is a mountain in Middle East, in Israel. Now, during the Roman Empire, the Jews who were living in Middle East got scattered for some reason. So Jews went all over the world.
Yes.
In Russia, in Sweden, in UK, wherever, in Arab world. So when these Jews went, when they went around, they were kind of successful businessmen.
Exactly.
And that is why they got trouble in German. Because in German, the German realized that they were tied by loans from the Jews.
Exactly.
They were money lenders. They say, how? How have these people become money lenders? The way some people felt in Uganda at some time about Banyarwanda is
Exactly. Yeah.
you find it, said, come on, we are the one getting money from.
Exactly.
You see, this is the situation. Some people felt like that about Kazooba's people. He's in the move. He's in the movement of Banyarwanda. Now, and this is what led to some feeling, although it had a fascist tendency, his fascism was first hate the communists, hate the Jews, even killed disabled. He wanted clean people, pure white, blonde hair with blue eyes. You know, he was such a fascist, that extremism of Hitler. But in his fascist, he bracketed the Jews. And that is why it is believed he killed 6 million. Now, this is 1945, Second World War.
Yes, sir.
So 1948, 3 years after the Second World War, there was a British Prime Minister called Mr. Balfour. Balfour now started Zionism. Zionism meaning a move to Mount Zion. We are going back to Mount Zion. Now, before that, they were thinking, since Hitler had killed the Jews, let's look for a home for these people. And the first choice was Karamoja in Uganda.
Yes.
They said, bring them to Karamoja. Because Karamoja was a British colony, Uganda was a British colony. So there's a mountain part in one of the British colony called Karamoja. Let's take them, we start Israel there. Then they debated, they said no. But anyhow, they zeroed on Zion. And that is where now the movement of Zionism started. Let us move to the Mount Zion. Now, about 700 Jews first started to be settled in the current Israel. Remember, by force, the British, because that area was under British colonialism, it was Arab land.
Yes.
Because now if you say everybody should move everywhere, for us, the Langis in Uganda, we are believed to have come from Ethiopia. So should we go back to Ethiopia and claim land that we are from Ethiopia? We came from Ethiopia through Sudan and what and everybody.
Yeah.
So now, because it was Arab land, the British colonialists brought the Jews there by force. And armed them. The Arabs didn't have guns.
Yes.
Armed them. The first lot was 700 people. And out of these 700, about 100,000 came from Iraq. And another 300 came from North Africa. And then from some Asian countries. The ones in Europe had not yet started coming. Then they started coming. To date, they still come. As long as you are Jew and you practice Judaism. If you are a Jew and you turn to Christianity, out.
Yes, I see them battering a lot of Christians.
If you're a Jew, say in German, a Jew in German, but you have turned Christian, like Karl Marx, the philosopher. Karl Marx was now counted out.
An outcast.
Yeah, you are out. Because you're Karl Marx, you're a Jew, but you have changed to Christianity.
Yes, yes.
Now, these people started coming back. The first lot was 700. They were armed. Now, Balfour started giving these people guns against the Arabs. They started extending up to the current situation. Now, the situation became so complex. And also with the emergence of the Jews who were in America.
Yes.
Remember, America had always had the philosophy of a land of opportunity.
Yes.
A land of opportunity.
Land of the
so
free.
many Jews had gone there
Exactly.
to get the opportunity. And they had become wealthy again.
Exactly.
So they now took over from Balfour, who had made the Balfour Declaration. It is Balfour Declaration that led to the formation of Israel.
Yeah, 1948.
So you can see that Israel is an artificially created institution. Uganda was a British protectorate in 18-something. Israel was not there. Israel was in 1948 when Uganda was about to get
where
independence.
does Israel get the audacity to fight the neighbors and the people they've actually
That is
fought
why
against?
I'm saying now, when the British child from the British Balfour Declaration, when now this baby of the British was taken over, adopted by the Americans,
Yes, sir.
they kept on getting strength and strength in power. Because America also wanted to use them as they are detached in Middle East.
Okay.
So it has created a lot of problem in the world. A lot of problem. And some Christians jump on unknowingly thinking they're allies. The guys are not Christians. They don't even want to hear about it.
Yeah, they don't believe in
So
Jesus
now,
also.
if we understand that Israel is an artificial creation
Yes.
of Zionism moved to Mount Zion, and we know that the artificial creation is created by the West, it becomes terrible. Anyhow, when they gain strength because of American arms that were poured in, a debate, they created and expanded, got land by force. Now, it reached a point where they said, some thinking said, this is now the reality. We know these people were created, but they are now here. So what do we do? Do we still hold the belief that some radical were saying, take them to America to form the 52nd states? America, why? If you want them, you have 52 states. Take Israel there. Create another state to be part of you.
Exactly.
And then other radicals like in Iran said, wipe them from the surface of the earth. So a moderate thinking was said, okay, fine, this is now the reality. Let us have Israel, let us have Arabs in this Palestine.
Exactly.
Because this Palestine, they are not citizens of Iraq, of Lebanon, or what, it is their country.
Yeah.
If you remove them from Palestine, then they become stateless. So the thinking was, instead of saying remove them from the surface of the earth, or taking them to be the 53rd state in America, let's recognize the fact that it raised the historical currents, let them be there, but also let the Arabs
Create a
be there.
two-state system.
2 states, create equality, and that is all. That is now the thinking. But unfortunately, some people in Israel don't want, because they think they want land, or these people will pose security to them. Or there's something they're so strong enough they can do it all. But in the end, it's causing a lot of security. So the moderate thinking is that please, rather than wipe you like the Iranian and other people want you wiped out, or you go be the 53rd state in America, please, let's accept that we have Israel here, we have the Arabs here in their independent country, we exist. And that is the kind of thinking that we have now.
Okay.
Now, about whether the fighting goes on or whoever wins, we don't know. But now, the global aspect is that lately, the Russians have brought technology in Iran that can disable Israel. And Israel is worried. Because Israel, of course, uses superior technology,
Yes.
which sometimes they make by themselves, or sometimes it's supported by America. But even if it's technology is made in Israel, it can be discovered or invented in America. But the bulk manufacturing The bulk manufacturing takes place in America.
Okay.
It is America which has the capacity to make in bulk. They either sell the copyright or just give it to them to make in bulk. But Israel has very educated people.
Yeah.
So now, the war is now, if you put it at a global dimension, it's going to be complicated.
Okay.
Because even the technological superiority of Israel is going to be neutralized because Russia is bringing in technology that's disable them. So it's going to be complicated. So what was, yes.
My question, because I wanted to ask you, there are a lot of human rights atrocities happening there, but USA and the West have played a deaf ear to it. But you've actually hinted on why, because for me I can see, because they started this particular state, so they are pro-Israel. Now my questions are two. One, how do the people start staying in Gaza? How are they then concentrated in Gaza so that now Israel is invading Gaza prior to the history I've been giving? And then, what does this war mean to me, a Ugandan who's 20,000 kilometers away? Is there a way that particular war should affect me or I should care less?
No, the war affects you. First of all, the war affects you because you really want global peace. Because any violations of human rights in any part of the world is a violation against all. So there shouldn't be violation of rights against the Jews, neither should it be against the Arabs. So if there's violation, that should worry you. Two, this is a Middle East country which is in the center of oil, and it destabilizes the global economic system in oil system. Iran is a big producer of oil, and then these other states around, whether Qatar or Saudi Arabia, they are all messed up in the whole thing. They're oil producers. So it affects the general economy as well. Okay. And of course, if the war spills over, you never know where it would spill, but it would affect us in a way. It will crowd all the air system. Those who fly will not fly in those areas. So it really makes the world ugly, and it affects all of us. We just can't sit and say we don't care what happens there. We really care, and that is why we think that we keep sending our voices, we keep sending our views, either individually or through our government, in forums like United Nations, African Union, or otherwise, in the little way that we can.
All right. You've not answered the question of how do the Arabs then get concentrated in Gaza? Because it looks like all of them were concentrated in Gaza, and Israel is fighting Gaza and the Hamas in Gaza.
Originally, you see, in Israel, first of all, there are Israelis Arabs who are citizens of Israel, the Arabs. Now, then you have that part of Gaza which was divided for Arabs. So there has always been existing an Arab country along there. Yes, it has been there. With the even observer status in UN,
yes,
I think,
but it was never recognized as a country.
Even full membership in Arab world, you know, under this other former popular leader, the one who was believed to have been killed. What was his name?
The leader of
the
Hamas?
The leader of the Arabs in Palestine.
Arafat.
You know, they were almost a state. So it's a big area which had Arabs, and that is the part I think you're talking about.
Yes, it's the one that I'm talking about.
It has been always theirs. It has always been their part. With population, with schools, with hospitals, with everything.
Looks like Israel wants to take it over as
well.
Yeah,
it has been. Yeah, they think that is an area where they bring their enemies come through to fight them.
Right.
But it has always been there. So I just like to say that myth about Israel need to be cleared. Christians should not believe that Israel is theirs. Two is that we should know that Israel is an artificial creation. And we should know that that artificial creation has caused lots of problems in the world. It was created specifically in 1948 with 700,000 people, with 100,000 from Iraq, 300 from North Africa, Egypt, Morocco, where they were all there. So,
well, that's how we are trying to see it, because Israel has had a history of more than, 5,000 years? It has been there, even in the past, one would say.
That is what we are saying. Even Langis were in Ethiopia.
Okay.
But during remember, if you're talking of Roman Empire, you are now talking of, you could average it to 2,000 years, because we are now counting using BC.
Yeah. And
AD.
Yeah, after that.
So AD is year of the Lord. So if you count from the time Jesus was born, and that is the time the Roman Empire, that is when they scattered.
No, that was, in fact, they had already come back, because when they scatter, I think they scatter before even Jesus, the times of the Moses. That was the time those people
This coming back is by Balfour. Balfour Declaration is the one
I'm
who
saying,
brought
and
it there.
because
So
now,
they are really
isn't that
scattered.
also undermining the history when you say that? It
But
starts
we are
by
saying everybody
1948?
has been. The Zulu in South Africa came from Cameroon. Are you going to say now Zulu should go back to Cameroon?
Thank you so much. Mr. Philip Lutaya, your question has actually been answered by these two gentlemen. You wanted to know what it means for that particular war, and of course in our regard. So, Philip Lutaya, thank you so much for that particular question. The two gentlemen have asked it. Now I want us to delve into the conversation of Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president of that particular country. For the first time in history of Kenya, they are impeaching a deputy president. I'm going to come to you, Charles. Charles, what does this mean for Ruto himself, but also Kenya? As we are also going to be talking about the independence, I don't know if we have the power to impeach here somebody, but first, what does that impeachment really mean for Gachagua and the President Ruto?
I think, first of all, Ruto, President William Ruto has been smarter than President Kenyatta. Because when Uhuru Kenyatta disagreed with Ruto as his deputy, it became nasty. There were quite a lot of embarrassing incidents that even at public events, they couldn't shake hands, they couldn't greet each other. Ruto would not even be allowed to sit near His Excellency Kenyatta. It was so bad. The humiliation was too much for Ruto. However, I think Ruto didn't want to play the same game with his deputy. He has decided to be smarter. He used the law, he used the legal processes, although he's not doing it overtly. But the truth is, in fact, even his head deputy admitted, he said, this impeachment, it has the approval of the president.
Do you want to paint a picture why he's doing that? Why is
Their system is also not good. You see, having, especially in a continent like ours, Africa, we've not developed to that level that two people should share power. We've not reached that level. I remember our group even proposed it to NRM. Yes, we wanted the president to have a running mate so that they can share. And Todong said that is impossible. It is not impossible. It is not possible for Africa. We've not yet reached there. That is why you see when, even though it is the party that has won, there has to be that dominant figure that has all the power to manage the state. So their system, I think they should go back to the drawing board and scrap that position of deputy president. They can have a vice president like we have here, that our president will send you to go to wedding ceremonies of people around.
So you've always said that you want positions that have power in itself.
Yes, but for the president.
But now it feels like you're also supporting what Museveni is doing.
Do you know why, for instance, we had an issue between the Kadaga and the President Museveni? It's because Kadaga wanted to step up and have a purely independent parliament. And that would mean almost sharing power with the executive. Now, when it comes to that, and that is, of course, the ideal philosophy.
That's what I was going to say.
when it comes to that, for Africa here as we are, it is bound to cause conflict.
You're seeing a threat.
Because somebody wants to wake up and make a decision, and that decision is implemented. It shouldn't be challenged by anybody. Because the person is going to tell you, I got votes. People elected me. They expect me to deliver. And you are challenging my power. That is impossible. That is what, by the way, we've been telling these opposition people, the Rumus, who have brought a bill to challenge, to elect amongst themselves the leader of opposition. We are saying that is a very wrong approach. Because there is a party that came number 2.
Yeah, you cannot just box it into a crowd.
To be motivated, to be motivated, it should be them with leader of opposition. If you want to be leader of opposition, you become number 2. Go to the people, convince them. Don't just go through the window, through the ventilator, and you want to take power. So, any politician exists because he wants power and all power. So it can't be shared. And this is what is happening with Kenya. Now, you saw what was happening, and I've been following the crisis there. You saw how Ruto was being challenged during protests.
Yes.
That he makes decisions, and some people can't act on the decisions. They even ask, why don't you first go to parliament? Why don't you do this? A president of a country in Africa that is just developing. Because just like he has told you that Israel was created, we also just created. So we still have a long way to go. Now, in the meantime, the president's power should be challenged by the people. And that is why some of us have always been advocating for free and fair elections, which are regular. If people lose faith in you, let them throw you out, and you should accept. But now, if you want to act, now these people came with the parish development model. Do you know that it is not working? It has failed to function because of one thing. Members of parliament were not involved, and they have ignored it.
I remember they also complained about it. Yeah, they said you did not involve
They
us
have
in
shunned
PDM.
it. They have shunned it, but they don't want to be clear to the president. Why? They feel it is the president's program,
They're not part
theirs.
of it.
Now, when you do that, yet it is the manifesto that brought you into power. You, even the MP and the councillor, then there is a problem.
Because that's your manifesto generally
Yes,
together.
it means that the president cannot do certain things. They will tell you that today is comfortable with Anita Among in charge.
Yeah, says this.
Because in the past,
They've easily worked with this parliament. That's what
the
he said.
NRM caucus had become an issue, compromising the NRM MPs all the time, give them kit kidogo all the time, so that they can pass certain laws, so that they can push certain agenda. Nowadays, it is not the case, because you are dealing with one individual, not this whole group. So, when there are challenges in governance, we should not, first of all, look at the Americans, the British, the Germans. No. We should be able to generate our own indigenous governance system that favors our environment. You're talking
What
of,
you call your own democracy.
you're talking of Germans, you're talking of who? These are the people that even invented education. These are the people that invented the law. They are the people that invented the state. They are so mature, even though they also have their own challenges. So you cannot copy them. For you just became a state in 1960. You've not even, you don't even have a pure nation state. There are very few people who believe in Uganda. They believe in their small
Yeah, we are still there. I wanted to even
tribes,
ask
their
that
small
question
families.
in independence.
Yeah, me, I'm
People
Uganda.
still believe in their shell.
I'm Muchiga.
With this.
Even when they cross borders,
Yeah.
they don't happily identify themselves as Ugandans.
Yes, sir.
So this is still a problem. Now, instead of just copying far, we must go back to the drawing board, because that is what the Kenyans, that is the
Yeah.
crisis they are in, wanting to copy. You copy this, you copy that. Generate
One
your
would say
own,
it
your
has
own
helped
issues,
them.
because Kenya has an issue of ethnicity, and it's not going to go away today. No, until there is realignment, until the other tribal groups have been given the resources, which resources have helped, for instance, the Chikuyu to prosper, land. It is
Yeah.
an issue.
Yes.
So instead of jumping up and down, looking at positions as a solution to their governance,
Okay.
you must go back to the wrongs that were committed at independence, even before independence.
Okay.
And you correct those wrongs. Once you correct them, for instance, redistribution of land, then you can talk of deputy president, the governor, what.
Thank you so much, Charles Kazooba. When I come back from the break, I'll be talking to the retired major. He'll be telling me what he thinks about that particular issue. But also, we shall delve into the conversation of Uganda at 62. He points out the issue of ethnicity, an issue that is thriving here in Uganda. How do we deal that? We are in a republic, 62 years down the road. Are we really united as we ought to be? And how does independence play out for each and every one of us? My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. This is the Hotline Show.